This video is intended to help you take a narrative or a situation in narrative format and convert it into an entity relationship diagram. We're going to use Sport Tech Event, which is located on page 19 of the Tech 5 plugin. And as you can see, here's page 18 above. I've highlighted it up there. So this is page 19, and here's the Sport Tech Events. So you can follow along and walk through as we define the entities and the attributes for those entities, and then the relationships that allow us to make the correct connectors. The three elements of an entity relationship diagram are essential for database administrators who will create databases, and then also our software developers that will then need to tie those databases together to make sense in an application, a software application. So this is real life stuff. All software developers learn about entity relationship diagrams, and all database administrators learn about entity relationship diagrams. We're teaching it here in the School of Business so that you can understand how important data is and start thinking about how it would be organized in such a fashion so that you could then develop reports, do trend analysis, and then eventually leverage the data so that you can make better business decisions. That's essentially the competitive advantage that this gives you in the workplace. So let's get started. We're going to walk through Sport Tech Events first and identify the major entities and attributes. So Sport Tech Events puts on athletic events for local high school athletes. The company needs a database designed to keep track of the sponsor for the event and where the event is located. Each event needs a description, date, and cost. So we've just identified within the first two sentences, three sentences, that we have three different entities. We have a sponsor, an event, and we have location. And in the event, we've already identified the attributes, which is description, date, and cost. So let's go over to Charts.apu.edu and build our entity relationship diagram. So I'm going to go to Charts.apu.edu. I've already signed in so it knows who I am. I'm going to create a new diagram. I'm going to call it homework 6 underscore last name, first name. I'm going to select entity relationship diagram, which is the option in the lower right hand corner. I'm going to select it and then say create. I want to put this in a special place so that I don't lose it. So I'm going to select the location, and hopefully you are sharing or storing all of your homework and everything that you do for every class up in Google Drive, because you can retain that forever even after you leave APU. I'm going to select assignment number 6, data modeling. There we go. It's creating my entity relationship diagram format, and now you'll see that it automatically created a template with three different entities, and you'll notice that they have attributes underneath them, and then has the connectors to help us along. I'm going to do some housekeeping here first. I like to make my entity relationship diagrams in landscape formats so that I have plenty of room to work with. And I'm not going to use the general diagramming tools. I'm going to use the entity relationship diagramming tool. So I'm going to go down to entity relation, blow that out. And you notice as I hover, it gives me all the different types of relationships I need. There's a second way to change connectors as well. When you highlight a connector, if you notice over here on the right hand side, it also gives you the different type of connectors here too that you can select. And it also gives you some wording that you can select along with that. So this is very helpful. So going back to our example, we identified that the event entity has description, date, and cost. Okay, go back to our diagram. We're going to just double click on the customer entity that was given to us, and we're going to type in event. The primary key, which you learned about in the Draw.io video, and helps us link tables together. So our primary key for the event entity is event name. Oh, what did I do? Now you'll notice instead of using a space, I used an underscore. So programs, software programming and database programming do not like spaces in field names. It likes a contiguous string of characters. So that's why we use the underscore in some of our field names. And if you notice, that's why I require you to use an underscore in your file name, because that helps me sort your files, all the students' files, makes it much easier to access. Okay, so we had event name. We also had event description that we need. So I'm going to put event in front of it to know that this is from the event entity. Now you notice we hit a roadblock here. So I'm going to highlight event description. I'm going to do a right click. I'm going to do duplicate, and now it duplicated the row so that I can type in the next row. And because I want event at the beginning of it, I'm just going to backspace over description, and this is going to be event date. I'm going to do the same thing again. Duplicate the field, come here, type over this, and this is going to be event cost. So that helps us identify the very first entity event. Let's go back over to our scenario and say, what else do we need? Well, we need a sponsor. And every sponsor has a contact, name, phone number. Let me see if I can highlight. There we go. Name, phone number, and address. So let's go back over to our diagram. We're going to change this from order to sponsor. We're going to change this from order ID to sponsor name. That is our primary key. I'm going to go ahead and remove our foreign key 1 because we're not using foreign keys. And now we can type in our other fields, which is contact address. And down here, this is contact phone number. We'll just put phone. And once again, I'm just going to duplicate this field. And this is going to be contact job title. Let me move this down so we have enough room here. And now I need to duplicate this because we need one more field. No. I'm sorry. No, we don't. Let's undo that. We have name, address, phone, title. Oh, I forgot another field. I did forget something. We need the contact name. Along with the sponsor name, we also need a contact name. So put this down at the bottom. So now we have the 5 attributes that we have for each one of the tables. Now we know that we were the example that we were working from also identified potential sponsors. Well, the potential sponsor entity is going to have the same attributes as the sponsor entity. So let's not recreate things. Let's just highlight this table, this entire entity, and let's duplicate it. And now we'll just move this over here. Let me get rid of these connectors right now because we're going to redo these connectors anyway. So now we have, let's go up here, and we want to call this potential sponsor. And let's make it, I guess we should have made it plural. Let's go back over here and make this one plural. So we have our event table, our sponsors table, and our potential sponsors table. Now we only have one more table that we need to deal with, and that is our location table. So let's go back over to our narrative. And what do we need in terms of events? Our events, we need a location name. And where did I see that? Well, we need a location name, a location address, and a location contact person for each one. So let's go back over here and build that out. We have a location table. The primary key is going to be the location name. Again, we're going to get rid of this foreign key. This is going to be location address. And then we want the location contact person. So now we've identified our entities and our attributes. I might want to just make this a little symmetrical. Not that it needs to be, but it just makes it easier to work with sometimes. Looks more professional. So we have them all lined up now. Now we need to start creating the attributes for each one of them. So let's go back over to the example where it talks about the relationships and how we're going to connect these entities together. So each event, I'm reading right down here in the middle, each event will have a single sponsor, but a particular sponsor may sponsor more than one event. So that means we're going to have many events and one and only one sponsor. Okay, because it's a one-to-many relationship. So how do we put that in there? So we're looking for a one-to-many. And I haven't used Draw.io that much to be able to do that. But what we can do is just use this. See if I can get them straight. There we go. Well, that's pretty straight. Okay. So we said that we were going to have a many to one. So we have the one and only one indicator here, but over on this side we don't. So we're going to go over here and we're going to change this to the many, which is right down here. Now notice how it doesn't give us any indicator when we're bringing down the symbol. We're going to have to remember that on our own. But this identifies that we have many events, notified by the little tree there on the left, and we only have one sponsor, which is notified by the two hashes there. Okay, now let's go back to the narrative. And let's see. A particular event will use only one location, but a location may be used for multiple events. Okay, so we're going to have one or many events, and then one and only one location. So that means, let's just do this in the same one. Well, I don't like the way it does this. I don't really like the way it does this either. But anyway, this will give us an indication. So what do we need? We need up here in this connector, this needs to be a one or many. So that would be this one or many down here. And then this indicator, at the location, this needs to be one and only one, which is going to be this identifier right here. So now we have that set up. Now the last relationship that we have to do is sponsors and potential sponsors. So this seems pretty obvious. You might have many potential sponsors, but you're only going to have one sponsor from potentials. So let's do this. And this is right. This is 0 or 1. And this one needs to be changed though. This should be one and only one. So we're going to change this over here. And go down here and select this one. There we go. Now we have our tables, our entities or tables, our attributes or field names, our connectors, our relationships all set up, and we're good to go. And we're done. Now make sure you hit save, and now we're good. Now the next thing you need to do is go here to File, Export as a JPEG file, and then put it onto another device, put it onto someplace on Google Drive so that you can then attach it to Canvas, and we're done. Okay? Hope this is helpful. Bye-bye.